Today's book is going to be Reset by Ronald. I believe he says J. Deibert, we'll say. Because I'm not sure how that last name goes exactly. And this is a book about a digital reset. But unlike something like Digital Minimalism or Deep Work or some of the other books you may have read, this is not about a digital reset personally as much as a digital reset and reckoning with what our digital lives have brought us, kind of in the whole world sense. Like, what does it cost to actually hold this data? And what do we give up in terms of privacy when we give away our data to a social media company? So let's dive into that book. But before we do, 2 ways to support the channel. Number 1 is to go to patreon.com/Curtis McHale, support the channel. Number 2 is to go to curtismchale.ca/Skillshare, where you can take my course on TickTick and my coming course on time blocking, which is down to like the last couple of videos editing. So it should be out by the time you see this video. And also note that anyone on Patreon will get a free link to the course. So kind of just get it taken care of there. Now, buckle up. Let's talk about reset. One of the first big points that stood out to me in this book was that we do not use digital communication intentionally. That it's just background noise, background radiation all the time in our lives that we expect is normal and then just live with it. You know, this is having your cell phone on your person all the time so anyone can reach you whenever they want. That's not intentional. And it's actually frustrating for other people often. And I think of this, I have a friend who messaged me on Facebook for a long time. And I kept telling him, I'm not on Facebook. I think I've deleted my Facebook account, but I haven't signed in years. So I'm not planning on doing it and I'm not there. And he would get mad. He's like, but that's how I message. I'm like, well, clearly you don't want to talk to me enough if you will only message me in one way. And so then I moved to Instagram, and I am on Instagram and I absolutely ignore every message that comes in because I don't want them. I do not want to have some other message platform to check in. But most people will be like, okay, well, Bob wants to communicate with me on WhatsApp, or, you know, my parent activity council at the school, which I am a member of, is on Facebook Messenger. And they said, get on it. And I said, nope. In fact, when I started, I said, hey, do we do a Facebook? Do we do anything like that? And they said, nope. And I said, great, because I'm not going to do it. And then they said, oh, we do actually, like 2 months later. And I said, I'm still not going to do it. So I I don't have to deal with a lot of the drama that goes on there, which is terribly unfortunate. No, it's not. But this unintentionality, this keeping your devices around you all the time and not segregating parts of your life, is a big problem according to the author here. Another point he makes is that social media is relentless collection and monetization of data, which I suppose when we say it, we know. We're like, of course it is, Curtis. That's what social media is. Now, one thing that he didn't talk about as much that I really thought about was that this is without adequate compensation to us, right? Facebook is a billion dollar company. And do we really get billions of value out of that? Like, are we trading appropriately for that? I don't think we are. It made me think of a book called Shorter by Alex Sujam Kim Pang. There'll be a link up above below to that review of that book, where he talked about worker productivity continuing to increase exponentially, but all the benefits accruing to the owner instead of the workers. So you're still working your regular 9 to 5, but you do like 5 times as much as, you know, a generation ago or as 10 years ago. So looking at that and thinking about that and thinking like, we provide so much data, so much value to social media companies, and they reap all the benefits, and we basically get all like the possibly littlest 1% of value of the data we have. If they actually had to pay us for the data, we would make far more than we do now. Like, we would get far more monetary value than we expend or than we receive in their tools. But we don't. We just don't recognize the value of our data, so we don't. Another point going in line with that is that social media has really stripped away our last bit of privacy. We used to have privacy inside our walls, right? The government couldn't see inside it without a wiretap, yada, yada, yada. But now we give that data away for free. Governments, anybody can surveil us very easily just by looking at our social media and data we give away for free. And that's a lot. It's important to recognize that, even as, you know, the police, as different agencies say, oh, we need this last little bit. And I've heard, I think Leo Laporte says this on Mac Break Weekly regularly, that what they have is like this huge 4K monitor, but 1 pixel is out in the form of our encrypted communication under stuff like Signal or under some WhatsApp. And they want that last pixel clear too. But they have, like, you know, it used to have a a standard definition screen. Now they have 4K, but they're like, but 1 pixel, I can't see this one thing. And that's a problem to them. It's an interesting thing, like how much privacy we give away for free for absolutely no return on value, or the like so little return on value. And a good way to look at this, I believe it was in Digital Minimalism where Cal Newport talked about that, is that, would you pay to use these services? And if your answer is no way, then you're actually getting no value out of them. It's just only because it's free, because it doesn't cost you anything monetarily, despite costing you so much in your time and in the value you have kind of in your life. It costs you so much there, but because it's not money, you don't see the loss of that value. The final big point that I'm going to go on, he made lots of other points here about even the cost of shipping things, which I'm not, I guess I am going to cover it. The cost of shipping things via Amazon, where like I get a single marker or a Rubik's Cube delivered to me, and that's crazy. The amount of money that costs, basically. For me personally, that's meant that I'm more likely to look around and say, order it to my local Staples, and I go down and pick it up, because that is actually, I ride my bike usually too, but that's actually far better, because I'm using their whole shipping system to get to one location that's shipping lots of other things, as opposed to some guy driving around in his car delivering me like 4 pens. And that it's like hugely expensive to do that, so stop. Okay, so the real point I was going to talk about was social media harming society, and the fact that misinformation campaigns there's always been a thing, right? And people have done them all over, but now it is so easy to do them, and so easy to find people falling into confirmation bias, not even falling in, because that's sort of our natural state to find things that we agree with. But to get to people into confirmation bias, because social media is about eyeballs and attention, and so that means sensationalism. And that as long as that is their incentive, we will continue to see polarization and confirmation bias, because the algorithm will continue to serve us more data we want to see, and just continue to like draw our attention in. And that's harming society. It's continuing, it used to be you live beside your neighbor, and your neighbor was on a different political spectrum than you, but you interacted with them because they fixed cars or something like that, right? And a long time ago, not even that long ago, my dad and me in my teen years, like we fixed our cars, and then we'd help our neighbors out regularly, whether or not we like necessarily agreed with everything they did. I can specifically remember one neighbor, and my parents were very conservative, openly smoked weed on his driveway like regularly, and they were not happy about that and about the terrible impact it would have on their children. And yet, like, when it came down to, he needed some help with his car, my dad was right over there helping him, or, pushed the car up our drive, and we did it there. And that neighbor in turn regularly gave us vegetables. Like he would always be like, I got so much extra stuff, and like just hand us fresh vegetables out of his huge garden in the back. And that melding of ideas was good. Now we all sit inside our houses. We don't interact with our neighbors, and we only interact with people that agree with us, which helps pull us farther and deeper down into our ideas. Into ideas that we have, and reinforcing them. That's why I think that some of the most important reading I do is ideas that I do not agree with, or I didn't grow up being taught to agree with. So something I'm reading, The Savvy Ally, which is about being an ally to LGBTQ plus communities. And I grew up in a conservative Christian house. My parents would be saying, I don't know what they'd say now, to be honest. We haven't talked about it, but definitely growing up, they would have said like, that is unacceptable, terrible. This is like destroying society. I might be overstating their views. I might not. But anyways, they would not, like, this is not something I grew up to think was okay in any fashion. And so I think the most important ideas are those first for me to read. Or like I said, read The God Delusion by Richard Dawkins. The most important, more important than reading an apologetics book, what was it, by Andy Steiger. There'll be a link around for that book. For a bunch of these books I've mentioned, I'll have a link if I've done them already. But we don't get that. And very few people really go look for ideas that they don't agree with, that are hard for them to deal with. That's it. Solutions, he doesn't really offer any. That's it. It's probably the worst part of the book. There's no like, hey, do this instead. This is a good book if you look at... If you want to think more about kind of holistically, what does the digital infrastructure cost us, right? How much seawater does a data center take, which is huge? How much power does it take to run this light, ephemeral data, right? I was just talking about a data backup strategy where I have terabytes of data up on Backblaze. How much does that actually cost? It feels like it costs me $50 a year, but really, what is the overall environmental cost of having all that data somewhere else? Is it high? It's higher than I expect. That's it. It's higher than I expect. And I didn't think about it again until just now. And so just reckoning with that, it's a good book on that respect. If you're looking to make a change for yourself, you want to kind of revamp your own social media, your own digital strategies, then I think Digital Minimalism is a much better book in that respect. I think it's just going to be, it's going to give you a good strategy, some good clear guidelines on how you can kind of reset your digital life and be intentional about it. That's it. If you liked the video, thumbs up below. If you loved it, subscribe, then hit the bell. And YouTube probably will never let you know anything happened, but I'm supposed to say they will. But, it's an algorithm. Who knows? Other ways to support the channel is to go to patreon.com/CurtisMcHale, support the channel, or to go to curtismchale.ca/Skillshare, take one of my courses. Time blocking should be up by the time you watch this video. Have a good one.